September 13th, 2022. We have in attendance our board members, Joyce Giffra, Susan Stevenson, Julia McCormick, Luke Farron, and myself, Mark Greenwald, and our legal counsel, 13th, 2022, Jeffrey Blinkoff, and our village planner, Alex Wallach, and our environmental consultant, Chick Voorhees. So can I have a motion now, or I will motion to open the public hearing? Can I have a second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Jeff, if you could you explain why we are not going to be voting on the three pending decisions, even though the decisions are ready, but we will not vote tonight?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the governor of New York had been extending an emergency declaration which had allowed virtual meetings that was last extended through the 12th of September. She had been pretty much consistently on the day that they were expiring, then extending them for an additional month, but she has not. And as of yesterday, she allowed that to expire by midnight last night. So as a result, the board meeting should be taking place with a quorum in person in order to preserve the proceedings of the board. My suggestion would be that the board not take any formal action on matters pending before it tonight. Certainly people did wish to be heard. And my suggestion would be that the board may hear additional matters, but not take any action. So that would include voting on decisions. And then at the next meeting where there is a quorum present, we can confirm that the transcript has been reviewed. Anyone that is present here tonight would have knowledge that it's being put over to the next meeting and will be able to participate in person as they wish to do at the next meeting, or to listen through via any video that's arranged. So that was the governor's decision.
Yeah.
Yes.
Why would voting on a written decision, there's no commentary allowed?
But it's still taking an official action. And
Okay.
I would think it's more comfortable for the board to do that at a meeting where there's a quorum present pursuant to the statute.
So we do have three pending decisions. Case number 3131 Smithtown Partners, case number 3141 Kathleen Ferrara, 115 Fox Hollow Lane, and case number 3143 Sarah Tershwell, 84 Ann's Lane. The decisions are ready, but we will not vote on them tonight. And we can move then to our first pending case, which is case number 3133 and case number 34, Michael and Annie Falk, where we have a request from the applicant or the applicant's representative to adjourn the hearing. Can I have a second to accept the applicant's motion to adjourn cases number 3133 and 3134?
It says to adjourn for a month, I believe.
You did.
So let's
Yes.
up it to the,
Do you want to put a date on it?
just a minute.
October 11th.
11th. October 11th.
Okay, so I will motion to accept the applicant's request to adjourn cases number 3133 and 3134 until October 11th. Can I have a second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Did you say aye? Luke, can you hear me?
Not for me.
So we'll move to our first pending case, which is case number 3132, 370 Great Plains Lane. I believe also this application needed to be renoticed and re-advertised. Jeffrey, do we have support for their renotice and re-advertising? 370 Great Plains, case number 3132.
Just a moment. I know that updated affidavits were forwarded this afternoon. May I have a moment?
I was over there. I'm not sure that was posted.
Mr. Wallach, I know you sent around updated affidavits. Were these one of them?
Yes, I believe so. And I think they're in the Dropbox as well. So let me see if I can pull them up for you.
If you'd be so kind.
Sure. Yeah, I see an affidavit of posting. and signed by Melissa Dedovich, who's here representing the application, and there's an affidavit of mailing as well.
Thank you so much.
So Jeffrey, do we have jurisdiction?
The board has jurisdiction, yes.
Is the applicant's representative here that wants to proceed? Is it Melissa?
Melissa, and I believe Melissa, where it says Hollander Design with her hand raised, is also representing on this application.
Hi, we're a little confused with this hearing thing. Does that mean if we present tonight that no decision can be made to close the hearing tonight?
That's correct, right, Jeffrey?
Yes, yes.
Can we have 2 minutes just to discuss the matter?
Sure.
Thank you. Hi again. Would it be possible to be put to later in the meeting? We want to confer with our client just to let them know what the situation is.
Sure, we can put you on after the new case, 1377 Meadow Lane. Does that work?
That would be fine.
Okay, so we're going to move
Really
on
appreciate it.
to,
Thank you.
no problem. We are going to move on to a motion in the case number 3142, 161 Cargan LLC, to accept the applicant's request for adjournment. Can I have a second?
Second it.
And all in favor of accepting the applicant's request for adjournment in case number 3142, 161 Cargan LLC, say aye.
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 Julia
Aye.
and Susan, will you accept their request for adjournment?
No. It came in today at 3:15.
Sure. So 4 in favor of accepting the request for adjournment, 1 no vote, but we will, as a board, accept the request for adjournment in case number 3142, 161 Cargan LLC. And then we're on to our first new case, which is case number 3144, 1377 Meadow Lane. Stephen Hickey is the applicant or the applicant's representative here to present.
Yes, I see Rob Herman has his hand up, so I think Charles will let him in shortly.
Yeah.
He's coming in.
We
Great.
still have Melissa Dedovich and the people from Hollander Design in the meeting room with us.
Yeah, Charles, can we exit them and we'll ask them after we hear this case whether or not they want to present?
Hey, Rob, how are you?
Hey, all, how are you?
How are you tonight?
Hey, Rob. Good to see you.
So Melissa from Hollander is still with us.
Bear with us, Rob. We need to exit.
Take your time.
While we wait for that, I just wanted to confirm for the minutes that 161 Corrigan Street was adjourned to the next meeting, September 22nd. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, great. That was what the request was for. Thank you.
I think we're good.
Okay, Rob, we're ready.
Would you like me to share my screen just to put the plan up while I have just a very brief presentation?
Yes, please
Be
share.
helpful.
Give me just 1 second. Do you see my plan up there? For the
Yes.
proposed dock structure? Okay. So, just briefly, this is a wetlands special permit application for the construction of a 4-foot wide by 46-foot long fixed timber kayak dock with a 4x8 set of steps into the water at its seaward end. This type of dock structure is referred to as a quote unquote kayak dock by the Southampton trustees and other agencies to indicate that it is not intended to be a deep water dock, for example, designed for mooring of large boats, but rather for the tie-up of kayaks, canoes, small outboards, etc. The site conditions and the proposed dock are virtually identical in nature to the existing dock structure on the adjacent property to the east at 1361 Meadow Lane, which was approved by the board pursuant to case 2869 in 2015. And you can see on the screen the label of that dock structure to the east. And also to the one located 9 properties to the west at 1485 Meadow Lane, which fronts the similar Dug Lagoon to the west and was approved pursuant to case number 3035 in 2019. Consistent with the dock structures the board approved in those cases, the structure proposed here is a minor appurtenance to the existing single-family dwelling, which was renovated pursuant to case number 2595 in 2009. The dock would be constructed entirely with untreated materials. The dock would be elevated sufficiently above the grade of wetlands and decked with open grade decking material to allow light and water penetration through the structure, thus allowing for the continued growth of vegetation beneath it. It will be situated more than 15 feet from the extension of both side property lines and would extend less than 15% of the width of the waterway, thus creating no impediment to navigation or interference with the neighboring property owner's use of the waterway. And the dock would traverse the upland in a location that will have minimal impact on grading and existing plants. And in this case, will be constructed in place of a smaller dock platform that is to be removed as part of the project. As noted by the village and the wetland special permit authorizing the dock next door, granting of the permission for this type of structure allows access over wetlands and other naturally occurring vegetation to the surface waters of the adjacent Dug Lagoon by use of the structure that provides a single point of elevated access rather than uncontrolled foot traffic or dragging of watercraft through the wetlands. I should note that construction of the dock also requires approvals from the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, New York District, New York State Department of State Coastal Resources Division, and the Town of Southampton trustees, all of which have been secured. And I believe copies of each of those approvals were submitted with the wetlands application. The board has any questions? Happy to answer them. I assume Chick will provide a summary of his findings on the application of the board as well.
Do any board members have any questions? Julia or Susan, Joyce, Luke?
I'm interested to hear what Chick has to say.
All right, that sounds good. Rob, I was going to ask if you could present a cross-section of the dock, just so we could see what that looks like in profile.
Yep. So what you see in front of you right now is the plan view, the overhead view, which is actually what you're looking at literally is the copy of the New York State DEC approved plan, but this is identical to what was submitted to the board. This would be the sectional view that you just asked for, and let's see if I can get that to rotate, which it doesn't seem to want to.
The very top, I believe there's an option to rotate the page.
Say it one more time.
Arrow
At the very top next to print, there may be,
next to the garbage can.
Thank you. So that's the section, and the overhead and profile view are also presented on the survey prepared by Saska Surveying Company that was also submitted with the application. This is the same profile that appears on that map that the board should have with the application packet.
So it's elevated above the vegetated wetlands and it is open grate decking. That's
Correct.
good. There's a ramp on the upland side to get to it, and there are steps. How are the steps anchored at their lower point of contact?
So the steps are either, yeah, there's actually that there should probably be a continuation of that support on the end if it was going to be a fixed set of wood steps. Sometimes I think with the application to the west, I can't remember, on one of these, the applicant ended up choosing one of those sort of retractable aluminum steps, the flip up steps in place of a set of fixed wood steps. So I don't know if you would have any suggestion or preference on that.
I'll just say that I was a little bit concerned about whatever type of anchoring mechanism might be needed into the lagoon bottom there. So if you would propose a retractable aluminum step unit, I think that makes a lot of sense because that can come out seasonally, wouldn't be subject to damaging winds and conditions during the winter, and have or need a permanent footing or foundation in the lagoon bottom.
Yeah, I can check with the owner, but I can't imagine why that would be a problem, Chick.
I think it'll probably be better for maintenance and also better environmentally.
I don't think that's an issue.
And I have an aerial photograph up, but did you want to present an aerial to just show the lagoon and orient the board? Or do you want me to share?
I can bring it up too, since I'm already sharing. Just give me 1 second.
I think it helps for context and also to see the other dock, certainly to the east, which is very evident.
Yep.
Had been previously permitted. And it also shows the existing structure on this property that ends about halfway through the wetlands.
So this is the applicant's property here. That's that platform that you just mentioned, Chick. And this is the 1361 to the east with the dock there.
So, Mr. Chairman and board members, I think Rob did a very good job of explaining the purpose. It's to channelize to the lagoon for kayaks, small boats, maybe a paddleboard. We have permitted other docks of this type. The intent is to avoid trampling the wetlands and to channelize that activity. The open grate decking and the elevated catwalk do allow for vegetation to grow, and you can see it is a vegetated wetland. And I got to guess, Rob, maybe you can confirm, my recollection from the site is that that existing dock is not open grade. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So this will improve that situation and allow the underlying wetlands to flourish. Again, you know, provide that access. It meets the dimensional criteria that we look for. It's not appropriate to have a float here, and that's why they've proposed this as a fixed elevated dock with only steps. I would request a revised plan to show the aluminum retractable ramp, and I think that is reasonable and would provide a form of access that would have the least negative impacts to the lagoon bottom. And other than that, I really have no other input. I think it's consistent with what we have permitted before, and meets the various criteria that we would look for.
Chick, just quickly, you said aluminum ramp, but you meant aluminum stairs.
Steps.
Then, correct? Okay.
Correct, aluminum stair. So those are my remarks at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Do any board members have any additional questions? Luke, do you have anything?
No, nothing for me except to say I don't really need the aluminum steps. I'd actually prefer the wood for the cohesive look. But, you know, defer to Chick's expertise on that.
What is on, do you remember, Chick, what's on the site to the east? Is it aluminum steps or was it? I can't remember what ended
Oh,
up.
Rob, you can research that. I think that flexibility, but my question originally just was what would anchor it? And, you know, how would that operate? So if you want to do some research, we can certainly talk, and I'll take a look at that other permit as well.
I was interested more in function than going after precedent or consistency, just because I feel like, I mean, I shouldn't testify when I'm not 100% certain when I'm testifying, but I feel like if it wasn't I know it wasn't the one to the east, but if it wasn't the similar case that I mentioned to the west, 9 properties to the west, it was a similar case where the owner actually, I think, had installed the wood and ended up asking about switching to the aluminum because the wood just in an area that's not real, doesn't have much wave action or fetch moving the water around. It just got very slippery. It got covered with algae. And so there actually was a desire for reasons unrelated to environmental concerns that they had wanted to go with a retractable aluminum stair. And I hadn't even thought about that or remembered it until you just started talking about it. So either way, I guess my understanding with what Mark had mentioned at the outset, or Jeff did, that you wouldn't be able to close the hearing and render a decision tonight regardless. Would you want to leave us the option of coming back with showing wood steps, showing how that's going to be anchored, or you would really advise the board, it would really be yours and or the board's active preference that we swap it for aluminum steps? Either way, we have to revise the plan.
Sure. Well, we have input from Luke, but I will say, and Luke, maybe you could consider, we're really just talking about steps. If they're going to be subject to, growth and seaweed and other marine effects, wood steps could have some difficulty over time. And retractable aluminum, I don't think they're going to be highly visible. We're talking about a couple of steps. Maybe once we get some detail on that, and once Rob kind of specs out what would be the best function for this purpose, maybe possibly Luke and the board would be comfortable with that. But again, it's really just a way to get down to access small boats and paddle boards. I don't think it's an excessively large structure that's going to look out of character, and it may overall, function better. And it's also retractable, so it's not there when you don't need it. It doesn't suffer the impact from currents and waves and other things that could damage it. Those are my thoughts.
I actually,
Rob, we are going to leave it open for all purposes at any rate, so we can, we can hear this again on the 22nd of September.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, if this is all I have to resolve, I'll say I'm leaving this evening in good shape. That's good.
well, actually, I'd like to ask a question. I think I may have just missed this. What's going to be done to where the existing dock is now? Because clearly that's been there a long time. And what's gonna be done to ensure that the wetlands in that space what will be done to take the existing dock out? And how will you protect that land area in that process? And forgive me if you mentioned it already, I missed it.
No, I didn't mention it explicitly, but I'll blow up the plan a little bit. The proposed dock will lead right over that exact location.
Right,
So that structure, and there's not, talk about toothpicks and a platform, there's not too much to remove. That structure will be removed. The new open grade catwalk will be constructed in the same location. What Chick was mentioning was the difference is that right now, this structure is wood. It's also a little wider.
A little lower, I believe.
And less elevated. So this structure will be more highly elevated, consistent with what the Army Corps of Engineers, National Marine Fisheries, and Wildlife Service requires, and the solid impervious, if you will, wood decking will be replaced with this open grate decking that allows light and water directly through the structure. And because the structure will be more highly elevated, it creates an angle for sunlight beneath it. So that area beneath that existing structure, as long as it will basically be allowed to passively restore itself relative to the condition that it's been in there now.
and the area where, when you're doing the removal and the replacement, the wetlands that are around it, how will they be protected?
So there's always going to be some immediate disturbance where the structure itself is being installed. But with every one of these dock projects of any type, any wetland vegetation that is disturbed or lost in connection with the construction would have to be replanted in kind in place.
Mhm.
Rob, is it going to be, are the piles going to be driven from the water side off a barge or on the land side?
I would expect probably from the land side.
Julia, it's
Oh, it is
pretty
typically
non-invasive if you've ever seen it get built. They bring a big crane over, bang it down, and then they grow, they replant as needed.
Just through the years, we've heard an awful lot of testimony about how to protect these areas as the docks are being removed. And I just realized I hadn't heard very much about what was going to be done. So I appreciate knowing what the plan is.
That's not a problem. And Julia, in this case, it's that dock is 2/3 of it is actually in the adjacent upland, just landward of the wetland area. And the wetland area where the existing structure is over is high marsh. It's basically Spartina patens, which is an easy grass to work around and also an easy grass to replace. So this is not, a situation where that thing is being removed, where it's going to pull up a whole select, area of intertidal marsh or something like that. That will be easily removed. There's really not much to it. I mean, the only thing holding that platform in the air is the poles on the corners of it. And I can show that photo again.
Right. But it's clearly been there long enough.
Yep.
It has certainly withstood quite a bit of time.
Yep. So you see the grasses around it. This will get narrower, it'll get higher, and then this decking will be open grate decking. So this marsh will be allowed to migrate into both sides and then come up beneath it.
Okay. So Chick, your net is that this will improve the area.
Yeah, it certainly removes a wider, lower, impenetrable light platform, and it channelizes the access to the water. So I see that as a benefit. I think based on the discussion and Rob's representation, I think it would be good to have some sort of notation on the plan that you'll be planting Spartina or whatever the appropriate vegetation would be under the new open grate. You said that everything would be restored and put back, maybe some notation to that effect. And the site is kind of narrow, and even on the sides between the elevated sanitary system, it might be helpful if we do have a construction management plan. As Luke said, it's fairly simple, and I'm not expecting anything elaborate, but maybe just a stepwise description of how the construction will occur. And that would certainly, I think, answer some of these questions and make things a little more comfortable, and also more specific to what this board would want to see.
That's not a problem.
Thank you.
Charles, do you want to see if any members of the public want to be heard on this? Or Jolie, can you see?
Sure, I don't have any hands.
Okay, so then I'll motion to adjourn case number 3144, Stephen Hickey, 1377 Meadow Lane for all purposes. Do I have a second?
Second.
And all in favor? Aye. Luke?
Aye.
You and Sue. Okay, so unanimous to adjourn. Joyce, yes. Okay, we'll see you on the 22nd, Rob.
Thanks for
Rob.
hearing us.
Thanks, Rob.
Have a good night.
Charles, do you want to see if Melissa wants to be heard tonight?
She's coming in.
I'm getting there. Hi, everybody. Due to the fact that there's a weird situation, we called our client and he asked if we could kindly ask for adjournment to the 22nd, if that's possible.
Sure, under these circumstances, yes.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, so I'll motion to accept the applicant's request for an adjournment until September 22nd in the case of lane number 3. Bruder, can I have a second?
Second.
Favor?
Aye.
3, Susan,
Aye.
Joyce,
Susan, you're muted.
I'm a nay.
okay, so it's 4-1 in favor of accepting the adjournment of 370 Great Plains Lane in case number 3132. I think that's the end of our agenda for this evening. Jeffrey or Alex, did I miss anything?
We just have one meeting for November we have to discuss rescheduling.
Because of Thanksgiving week?
Yep, I believe that's right. I think it's scheduled.
We
for-
have to do that on the record, or can we do that in an executive session? This is bad procedure.
Well, I think we do have to do it publicly since it's a public meeting, but I'll defer to Jeff.
Well, if we're just choosing a new date, that can be done publicly.
Susan, would you rather?
I would rather, yes.
We have some time. Could we, Jeffrey, could we go to executive session? We have a little time, I think.
If it's for a discussion, sure, with me for a legal issue, sure. If that's
100%. Yeah, how do we arrange that right now so that we can all, since we're gathered here this evening, we can all meet again in executive session?
Is Charles the videographer? My question is,
Yes, I am.
hi, is it possible to have just the board members and me in a discussion?
I don't know how to do that. You can, does anyone have Zoom? You can start another Zoom meeting and just do it there.
Mr. Chairman? Oh, did
Yes.
somebody have an idea?
I was going to ask Charles if we're able to close the meeting to other attendees, if that's possible.
I can just get rid of them.
Okay,
Well, we shouldn't, before you do that, let's motion to close the meeting, the public hearing.
There you go.
So I'll motion to close the public hearing of the Zoning Board of Appeals, Tuesday, September 13th, 2022. Can I have a second?
Second,
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so if our meeting is closed, then Jeffrey, can we exit?
Are recorded.
We don't want to be recorded in
1 second.
in the executive session.
well, just to be clear, this, if it's just a discussion with council, it's not even executive session. If there was a legal thing that people wanted to discuss, It's
Okay.
just a discussion.
Let's call it a conversation with legal counsel.
Okay.